All right, everybody. Welcome to Friday Bible study. And continuing on in Daniel, I did move over to the next column also to make sure I got in verse 25, which are your Antichrist verses. That's a lot of verses in one column. Yeah, 16 through 24. And I go ahead and use 25 also. Um, just because 21 through 25 is not only Trump Tower's multiple addresses, Trump Tower's multiple addresses are Trump Tower has 5 multiple addresses, 721 through 720. Well, it says right there, 721 through 725, and Daniel 7:21 through Daniel 7:25 are the passages of the little horn of Daniel 7 as the Antichrist. And he's here in his own name because Trump is a horn, and Jesus said that the Antichrist would be here in his own name in John 5:43. So he's here in his own name, and like Jesus said, he will be received. He's on both temple coins over there in the land where Jesus roamed. So you have to really deeply understand the times that we're in. And it's so weird that there you see 666 Fifth Avenue. That is to throw you off from what Trump Tower is really all about. And yes, Trump's connected to that building also, I do believe, through his son in law. But that's another story for another day and a long story. Kushner, Jared Kushner. All right, so let's go on with Daniel. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me known the interpretation of things. These great beasts, which are four kings, and we told you Babylon, Medo Persia, Greek/Roman, which is what we're in now. And then the final is when the Antichrist beast rises. They call him the beast out of the sea, but what he will do is seemingly rise from the dead. And that's when the great tribulation begins. At that moment of the what is known as the abomination that causes desolation, which we'll get to in Daniel 9:27. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So again, it goes right back and takes you all the way through the end times. Now it's going to start talking about the Antichrist. So it goes forward and backwards. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. This is Donald Trump, the Antichrist, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, stamped the residue with his feet. You cannot escape this. Once this whole mark of the beast technology and all of this begins through the computers and event, through the fallen angels, the humans will be uploading the demonic entities into their bodies. That's why the only time you skip hell, which is the grave, and go directly to eternal torment forever and ever and ever and ever, is the beast, the false prophet, and Satan, and those that take the mark, because those that take the mark, they're uploading the entities into their body. The human host soul, uh, the human host fleshly body and mind and spirit and soul will die off, the fallen ones will inhabit that body, what you would call possession. And they will be using that human body as what we use to call today an avatar. And that is why those that take the mark get tormented day and night forever and ever. It's not actually the human. With everything the Lord has given me in his word, the wages of sin is death. And when they're raised and judged, they all get death, they all get hell, they all get the grave, every one of them. But Satan somehow bypasses death, hell, the grave. So does the beast, so does the false prophet, and so do those that take the mark. So, in other words, fallen angels don't die, they live forever and they're tormented. All the humans die, then they're raised and they're judged and they receive what is called a second death. You never hear of the Antichrist, the beast, the false prophet, or the fallen angels receiving death. So when people try to tell you that, oh, death just means another word for the torment, no, because the fallen ones don't get it. The humans do. And when they mention the fallen ones, it is mentioned tormented day and night forever and ever. And that is not what the humans get at the great white throne judgment. Deep stuff, I know. But I teach it on my other YouTube channel. I changed the name. It's now called Telling Truth. And it has the circle of the earth, which is biblical. You go to playlist and go down to I don't know. I'll find it. Hell is not eternal torment. It's a 5 video set series. And I revised it. I changed it. I updated it. I zoomed it. Tried to put it all together, make it a lot more comprehensive. You guys still there? I'm just making sure y'all are awake. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn, had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things. Once again, a mouth that speaks great things. That is 3 times in this chapter. Verse 8, verse 11, and verse 20. Whose look was more stout than his fellows. Donald Trump's look is more stout than his fellows. I just wanted to see if anything came up. Seriously, just I'm just being silly. I didn't sure if it would just show him like standing next to people. Trump is larger than most of the people he stands around. Ooh, the 2 Trumps, the twin Trumps. Interesting. Anyway. All right, so here's 721 through 725, which is which is the address for Trump Tower, as we have stated and shown you. And it states it right there also. And notice the upside down pyramid, which stands for the divine feminine, the female reproductive area. The right side up pyramid is the male, the upside down is the female. And that is at Trump Tower. Address, once again, 721 through 725. So let's read 721 through 725, which are very specific about the horn, as you see right there, 21, that same horn. But this is very specific about the Antichrist, and it will go into the future and show you that God, known as the Ancient of Days, wins, but then it goes back again and finishing the story of the Antichrist. So it goes forwards and backwards again. Throughout 7, it'll tell the very end of the future when God rules with his sheep, with his church. But then it'll go back and discuss the Antichrist, which is basically what the book of Revelation does. It's just all over the place. It's telling the same story over and over in different layers. All right, I beheld that same horn, trump, horn, trumpet, all the same, made war with the saints. And I, if I may, just in case it's somebody for the first time, because you never know. This is on my Facebook. New Living. Why did I do that? Because I clicked the wrong thing. Jesus said, I come in my Father's name and y'all receive me not. In other words, I come in my Father's name and y'all don't receive me. But if another, don't worry about the if, this is talking about the Antichrist. When another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. The Antichrist is called the horn. He's here in his own name because a trump is a horn. A horn and a trump are both trumpets. And that's per the King James also. They are referred to as the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets. And also in Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians, it says at the last trump, which is talking about the last trumpet sound. So a trump is a trumpet, is a horn. He's here in his own name. That's as plain as the nose on your face. I beheld that same horn, Antichrist, trump, made war with the saints. That is when he returns seemingly from the dead. That will be a deception. And prevailed against them. He is going to be very victorious at killing them. Not all of them, because Jesus returns before all of the flesh of the sheep are gone. In other words, there's always been at least one sheep on this earth since the beginning. Until the Ancient of Days came, which is God or Jesus in the flesh, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. And I believe they're talking about the 1,000-year millennial reign, earthly kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast, now it goes back to the Antichrist, shall be the fourth kingdom. So that fourth kingdom of Daniel's dream, that fourth kingdom is that very short time that the Antichrist is in power. As Revelation says, he must continue a short space. Seven kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Basically a span, 7 years, 8 years, 7 years. I think biblically speaking, I think it's a straight 7. We know Trump ran for president in 2015, elected in 2016. I think things run through 2023, 2024-ish, max. Could be wrong. That's where I'm at today with everything. The fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. Oh, yes, this one will be unique because the fallen angels will be involved. So, like it was in the days of Noah, Jesus said in Matthew 24:37, and in the days of Noah, the fallen angels were mixing with human women. So they were hybridized fallen angel human hybrids, which I told you they'll be using the human body as an avatar. It will once again be the hybrids, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms and shall devour the whole earth and shall tread it down and break it in pieces, because this is the fallen angels wreaking havoc. This isn't just people, folks. Again, so like it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. But as it was in the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. What were the days of Noah? Genesis 6, 1 through 9. Sons of God, which are the fallen angels, saw the daughters of men, which are human women, saw that they were fair, and took them as wives, all of which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Because they're mixing with the fallen angels. And since they were mixing these hybrids, it says there were giants in the earth in those days. That's how your pyramids were built. That's how, ancient aliens TV shows, they try to tell you that we're inhabited by aliens and that's how all these structures were. No, 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 no. And also after that, when the sons of God, fallen angels, came unto the daughters of men, human women, they bare children unto them. That same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. These are your Greek gods, um, goddesses, I tell you, I think that's how we got um, various potential goddesses and female angels, because surely they could bear giant men and women. But of course, Lucifer is the female transgendered version of Satan. Satan has manifested as a female and might have been told or forced to do so per God, stripping him of his manhood when he fell and made him be a crossdresser, which is why in Hollywood they make everybody crossdress at least once. And I used to have that photo of John Wayne dressed as a woman in one movie. I will forever be bummed out that I'd never saved that picture because it used to be on the internet, but they removed it from Google. The artificial intelligent entities have, which is fine. That's God's will. They can only do what God allows them to do. And God saw, well, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts in his heart was only evil, and it repented the Lord that he had even made man on the earth, and it grieved him in his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing, and fowls of the earth, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Now, God has already ordained the end from the beginning, so they're kind of telling you a story in sort of the word of God is a parable. And Jesus spoke in parables. And this is sort of a parable story. Speaking of how the Lord was grieved, God ordained all of this. He declared it. He declared the end from the beginning. None of this happened by accident. Not one bit of it happened by accident. And the Lord said, I will destroy man. But Noah found grace. Well, what do you know? Was that just by chance? No, this was all part of the plan. In the Lord's eyes, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations, because God had ordained that Jesus would come through a perfect bloodline. And Noah walked with God. When you go to Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning, he declared every bit of it. He didn't just create the earth and just let it rip by happenstance. Satan was created with a glitch. A third of the angels were created with a glitch. They were all ordained to do what they did. There's no mistakes involved. Your great grandmother was meant to fall in love with your great grandfather. And if they didn't marry, whatever happened was meant to happen the exact way it happened. Because you were meant to be here. God just doesn't see the future. He's declared it all. It says declaring the end from the beginning. Why do you think the end times book of Revelation, which hasn't even happened yet, is already written? Declaring the end from the beginning, declaring Revelation from Genesis and from ancient times to the things that are not yet done. He's declared it, saying, that's God talking, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Even the evil, as we've shown you many times. Some of y'all I'm putting to sleep because you've seen it so many times. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. He's omnipotent. There's nothing that's happened by happenstance. The Lord hath made all things for himself. Yes, even the wicked. God even made the wicked for the day of evil. Every single bit of the evil that ever was upon this earth, God created it. Now, God can't have anything to do with the evil or the sin. That's what Satan and them were created for, to do the evil and the sin. So the goats belong to who? Jesus told them. He said, you guys are of your father, the devil. And that's how it works. Jesus said, I only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel in Matthew 15:24. The sheep belong to Jesus. They're his shepherd. He knew them before the foundation of the world. That's Ephesians 1:4-5. And those that are of their father, the devil, it says in Revelation 17:8, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. So before anything was, the sheep and goat were already declared. Or sheep were declared. And anybody born who was born not a sheep automatically are of their father the devil. That might be another way to look at it, because their names just weren't written in the book of life. So, but the sheep have always been there. We just become born into this world. That's why I believe it's Galatians 1:15. Who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace. When he was born, he was already under grace way before he made any kind of decision, way before he was called by Jesus, because this is Paul, who was once named Saul, who was out there killing Christians when he was a Pharisee. But see, when he was born, he was already under grace, because that was already determined before the foundation of the world. According as he hath chosen us, the sheep, in him, the sheep, into God, before the foundation of the world. Before the foundation of the world. He predestinated that we would be sheep. And when you go to Romans 8:29 and 30, for whom he did foreknow before the foundation of all things, he also did predestinate them to be conformed to the image of his son. In other words, they would eventually be taken. Well, they would be born, then they would be called by the Holy Spirit right in their heart. Then they go through the justification, sanctification process. They start conforming to the image of Jesus, because they go through the repentant process. They get that outer man starts to get burned off their flesh. They never quit all sins, but the damnable sins of adultery, fornication, wrath, strife, emulations, heresies, all of those things. That's found in Galatians 5:19 through 21. All of those sins, it says, those which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom. The Lord will call you out of your premarital sex. He'll call you out of your fornication. He'll call you out of all those damnable sins. So for whom he did for, okay, that he might, yeah. But continue on. It says, moreover, whom he did predestinate, previous verse, to be conformed to the image of his son. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. So they get the call, like we just said, and everyone who gets the call goes through it says them he also justified. That's the repentant process. And every one of them, they get what? Their glorified bodies in the end. And if anybody ever wants to know of the fairness of this, send them to Romans 11. I'm sorry, send them to Romans 9:11 through 24. That's Romans 9:11 through 24. That begins with for children, for the children not yet born, neither having done any good or evil. So before they're born, it's already determined. The purpose of God according to election might stand. And when you look up election at blueletterbible.com in Strong's Concordance, or elect, it clearly speaks of Christians, of sheep. Well, it doesn't say the word sheep, but it speaks of Christians and God's free will decision of choosing them by grace to be saved, and how you go about getting your salvation. That's what grace is. It's not of any of your works, literally meaning not of your free will decision. How did I get off on that subject? And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. and he shall speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change the times and the laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and a times, the dividing of time, 3.5 years. So again, this fourth beast is also this another shall rise after them. Because here he is again, what? Wearing out the saints and speaking what? Great things, great words against the Most High. So it's all about the little horn of Dan, which is why Trump Tower has that address of 21 through 25. It's all about him. It's all about the Antichrist. So it can be confusing to read, especially in the King James. I don't know if it's any better in the New Living Translation or any of the other ones. All right, John. If I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. Making sure I read that right. But if I do, though ye believe not me, I want to read this in the New Living. Don't believe me unless I carry out my Father's work. But if I do his work, let me make sure. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. And then 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. The New Living will leave out verses from time to time, so you have to be very careful. Don't believe me unless I carry out my Father's work, but if I do his work, believe in the evidence of the miraculous works I've done. Even if you don't believe me, then you will know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. Once again, they tried to arrest him, but he got away and left him. He went beyond the Jordan River near the place where John was first baptizing and stayed there a while. And many followed him. John didn't perform miraculous signs, they remarked to one another, but everything he said about this man has come true. And many who were there believed in Jesus. That's not a free will decision. Their heart was alerted and opened. A man named Lazarus was sick. He lived in Bethany with his sisters Mary and Martha. This is the Mary who later poured the expensive perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped them with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was sick, so the two sisters sent a message to Jesus telling him, Lord, your dear friend is sick. How would you love to be called a dear friend of God? You got to love that. But when Jesus heard about it, he said, Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this. So although Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. All right, very good. I think we can dig that. The sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified there. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days, still in the same place where he was. All right, love y'all very much. Ask questions anytime.